Hello students, welcome back to our science class. My name is Anjali and today we are going to continue our chapter 11 of class 8. So students, before starting this class, I hope you all are fine, safe and doing good at your places. So let's watch out something interesting and students, you have to observe it and tell me what is happening. Okay. Yes students, so what do you see? That we have something, some objects. Okay, so the person is trying to, what the person is doing, he is pushing that door. And what in the second case he is doing? Yes, very good students, you might have observed something. Yes students, so what did the person do? Yes, he was having this car and he was trying to move it from one place to another, and then he put his hand to in the motion of that car, right? Very good. And students, in the second case, if you have, if a ball is coming to you and you just pass the ball to the other person, what exactly are you doing? Yes, very good, you are applying a force as we have discussed in the last class, right? And here the ball is moving, right? Ball and the car, they both come into moving, right? Yes, so first point we can discuss, right? The moving. Very good students. So now students, today we are going to discuss about the effects of force, that what happens due to the forces. So in the first you will say the car was moving, right? So what did the person do? He put his hand towards the motion of the car, right? So what happened to it? Yes, it suddenly stopped. Very good. And if the ball is coming and you push it into some other direction, so students, what happened? Yes, the ball changes its direction of the motion, right? In which it was moving earlier. So after we push it with the other hand, so it will move in the other direction now. So students, force can change the state of the motion as we have seen in the first two examples, right? State of motion. This is the first effect which we are going to discuss, that how force can change the state of motion. A ball at rest begins to move when a force is applied or drained. We always say that a ball is at rest. You can take example of football. So what we do, when we apply force, then only the ball moves, right? It begins to move. Very good students. So a force applied on an object may change its speed also, and if the force applied on the object is in the direction of its motion, so the speed, what happens? It increases, right? When a ball is already moving, it is like you can take example of football. When a moving football is already coming to you and you kick that ball harder, so what will happen? The speed will increase, right? Yes, because you are applying it in the motion of that direction of motion of that object only, so it will increase. But let's take example of the decrease, what where it will happen. Yes, if the force is applied in the opposite direction of motion, then it results in the decrease of the speed of the object. So but you can say that the car, when you take example of a car, right? The toy car, when the person is moving, this toy car was moving and the person put his hand like this. So the car suddenly stopped at this point, right? What happened with the speed of the car? Yes, the speed of the car decreases, or we can say that it just comes into the rest. So that is the example that how force can change the state of motion. In the first, when the ball is already in the direction of motion, and we are again applying a force towards it, so speed will increase, which we can receive by double. So in this case, it will increase, and the first case it will decrease, right? Very good students. So you get an idea that how the effect of force, the first is that how we can force can change the state of motion. So now if I ask you that you have to identify actions from your day to day lives where the force can change the state of of an object. You can think of the increase or decrease or both, and you can write your answers in the comment section. Yes, students. Very good. You must be giving ample examples. Like what happened if we are pushing a box, right? So what happens if one person is pushing the box, right? The box is moving because force is applied, and suddenly some other person also comes and he also start pushing the ball in the same direction as you are doing. So what will happen automatically? Yes, it will be good to push that box with the two persons because the speed of that box will increase and we can easily move it. And what about example where you can say up the decrease in the speed of the change of motion of an object? Yes, you can think of any example. Yes, from the opposite direction if you are saying, so automatically there will be a decrease, right? Very good, students. One more example which I have got for you is that in your childhood you might have played with this, right? A tire and a stick. Yes, we have a tire and a stick. So what we are doing with the help of the stick? We move this tire, right? So what actually we are doing, students? The tire is moving only, but still we are pushing it with the help of the stick, so it keeps on moving. Don't you think the speed increase of the tire? Yes, the tire's speed is increasing because the state of motion of the tire is what is getting doubled or tripled because the speed is increasing. So we are applying the force using this stick, right? Force to this tire. So what is happening? Increase in the speed is happening. Very good, students. Good example. And you can write other examples in the comment section so that I can read it afterwards. Yes, now students, it's your time to answer. Is it as fill up? So I will read this statement for you that for let me zoom out my camera a bit, that a ball at rest or in motion begins to move when a force is applied on it. What do you think? The answer will be yes, because we are saying here it as the begins to move that ball. So here students, what answer will come? That a ball at rest, it begins to move when a force is applied on it. So students, I'll be marking the answers with the red in every time whenever you give me the answer so that you can check out in the later stage also what is the correct answer. Now let's see the true or false statement. Is it a true or false, students, that if a force is applied on the object is in the direction of its motion, in the same direction, so speed of the object decreases? Yes, students, you can give your answers and you have to explain also that but why do you think the answer will be that? Yes, you are very correct that this statement is not true. Rather, it is a false statement, right? And students, why is it a false statement? Yes, because what we are doing, we are applying the force in the same direction of its motion. It means where we can think of example of this ball. We are applying the pushing this ball in the same direction as it is moving. So what happens actually? The speed increases. It does not decrease. The speed of the object increases, right? Yes, very good. So speed of an object increases. Now students, you have to observe something. Yes, you are saying that it is a cricket match going on, right? Who all loves to in play cricket or just see cricket? Yes, I hope many of you very good students. So what is actually happening? What the batsman is doing in this? Yes, the ball is coming and he's hitting it very hard, right? You can see that again and again it is showing. So what is happening with the students? If I ask you that ball is coming, it is going, what is happening? Yes, the ball is coming in some direction. The batsman is hitting it very hard. The ball is moving in another direction, right? So students, here is the cricket man applying the force? Yes, he's pushing it harder, right? So you can say that pushing the ball. So as a result, students, what is happening? The direction of the ball is changed, right? Very good, students. So now we are going to discuss about that how force can change the direction of moving object. So students, if I ask you to explain this in your own words that how force can change the direction of a moving object, so how will you explain? Because we have seen just now an example also. Yes, very good, students. You have very good that you have seen a bat. Bat is there, right? I simply draw a bat. Okay, then think this is a bat. Ball is coming. Suppose it is coming from this direction. Ball is coming. The batsman is hitting it very hard, and it is moving. Let's suppose in this direction. Okay. So, but we are happening. The batsman is applying the force. How? Yes, by pushing it this ball. So here push is involved, right? And students, as we have discussed in our last class, that wherever push is involved, so we can say that the force is also there, right? Very good. So you have seen that the direction of this ball is changed. So force changes the direction of the moving object. Moving object, why? Because the ball is already coming, moving towards that batsman, and he is hitting it very hard, so that the direction of that ball changes. Very good. So students, a force can change the direction of an object by applying force from the opposite side of the object. We can say that from the opposite side we are applying the force, right? The ball is coming from this side. You can think this is the ball coming, and what we are doing, we are applying the opposite direction, the force we are applying with the help of that, right? So with the opposite direction we are applying the force. So here the direction of the ball changes. And when a ball hits against a wall, it bounces back in the opposite direction. So you can think of that if this is the wall, like, so if a ball is going and hitting the wall, so what it will happen? It will bounce back in the opposite direction, right? Yes. So the force exerted by the ball on the ball changes its direction of motion. So if the ball is going in this direction, what will the ball doing? The ball is also applying the force. That's why only the direction, opposite direction, the direction of change in motion is there, right? Very good, students. And what about, you can say about the third point, that how force affect how objects move. Yes, students. Let me minimize my camera. Right. So what can say, they may cause the motion, they may also stop or change the direction of a motion which is already moving, right? So what force can do? Force can either slow down the motion of the object, either stop it, or change the direction of motion of an object. So students, how the force can slow down the motion of the object? Yes, we can slow down also, because if what is happening, suppose we are pushing a box, right? So what is happening? The opposite person, what he is doing, he is also pushing it. So the change in the direction from the other direction, it will slow down, or in some cases it will stop also, right? Very good, students. So now let's move ahead. So if I ask you that you have to list few more examples from your day-to-day lives where you see that force can change the direction of a moving object. So what will you say? Yes, students, we are very good. You must be giving good examples, many examples where force can change the direction of motion. So you can think of the game of the basketball also, the football also. What we are doing here, the we are changing the direction. The volleyball also we play, so ball comes to us, but we hit it hard so that its direction changes. And also, students, here you can see the bat in the game of the badminton also, right? The cock comes from this direction, right? Coming, and with the help of that racket, what we are doing, we are changing its direction of motion. It's coming from this direction, and we are applying the force. So as a result, the direction of that cock also changes. And here you can say that how the children, they are passing on the ball from one place to another. So here If they are pushing it harder, force is changing the direction of the motion. Very good, students. So now it's your time to answer, that you have to choose the correct option. When a ball hits against a wall, it bounces back in the opposite direction, and when a ball hits against a wall, it suddenly stops. So what do you think, students, the correct option is? Yes, very good. You must be choosing the correct option, which is the A, that it bounces back in the opposite direction. We have just now discussed. Why, students? Because the ball is also applying the force, and we have learned that how force can change the direction of the motion. Yes, very good. So now, students, what images do you see on your screen? Yes, there is a dough, wheat dough, right? You might have seen in the kitchen also, your mother is making that dough. And what is the first image? Yes, it is the rubber band, right? What the person is doing with the rubber band? He's just pulling it, right? So students, if I ask you that, if we have a dough and we push it harder, so what do you think, the shape of the object will change or not? Shape of this dough? Yes, it definitely changes. And what about the rubber band? Yes, when we stretch the rubber band, so what is happening? Earlier the shape of the rubber band is something else, but we are applying the force, so it is changing, as you can see in this image also, right? Very good, students. So now what can we infer about the effect of force from these examples? Yes, you might be saying that, ma'am, if we apply the force, so the shape of the object also changes, right? Very good. Change in the shape of object. Very good, students. So now let's something discuss about this. How force can change the shape or size of an object. You can include size also over here. So how force can change the shape, students? Yes, you have seen that how in the first case, if we apply the force to that dough, the dough will become smaller, right? And the rubber band also stretching of the rubber band. Very good. So students, force on an object may change its shape or size of an object, as we have discussed seen just now. And when a force is applied on an object, then the shape and size, they may change the by compressing, by stretching, or by bending. Compressing, where we have seen that when we compress something, right, we compress very hard so that its shape changes. And stretching, the rubber stretching of the rubber band, or the bending. Yes, bending example, students. Yes, bending of a wires, or you can say when some persons are there who can bend uh, the plastics rod also, right? They can bend. So there also we can say that how the shape or the size, it gradually changes by applying the force. Very good, students. So we can note down the 3 points, that first is the by the compressing merely, or by the bending, or third is the stretching. Yes, very good. So now we have discussed something related to how force can change the shape and size of an object, right? So students, it's your time to think and answer, that you have to enlist few examples from your daily life where force can change the shape and size of an object. Yes, students? Yes, very good. You might be recalling that when we play with that clay, right? What we usually do, we just push it like this and we make different shapes out of that clay, and most of the children love to play with that clay. So here, can I say that how force changes the shape and size of that clay? Yes, very good. By pushing it like this, we are pushing it with the hands, we are applying the force on the clay and it changes. And what else, students? Yes, you might be saying that we have a can, right? That 20 rupees Coke can or the Dew can when it comes. So what students, what some people can do, they just push it very hard. They just crush that can, right? Crushing of the can also is an example of how force can change the shape and size of an object. Might be saying that the can is there, like the coke can. So what happens? What usually do the people, they apply the force with these hands, right? And the can, it squeezes out like this, and just then they throw it away, right? Yes, very good example, students, you have given. Now let's see few more. Yes, in the first you can say that how the can is being crushed, right? But I was telling you the example. Yes. So here what the person is doing, is he pushing it or pulling that can? Yes, he's pushing it very hard. So the force is involved, and what the force is doing, what effect is it making? It is changing the shape of that can. Very good. And when you squeeze a lemon, yes, when you squeeze a lemon, you can say that the lemon juice comes out, and the big lemon, it becomes a very like empty type, right? Very thin. So there also, and yes, playing with the clay, you can see that these examples, or you can give more examples in the comment section also. Yes, you must be giving many examples, like the ball is also there, right? But students do, some balls are made of that plastic that easily they can just change its shape by hands only. So there also we can say force can change the shape, right? And what about the, if I ask you some more example, yes, you can write it in the comment section. We'll discuss. And students, if you can see that from that dough, when our mother makes the chapati, right? She makes a small that balls out of that big dough, and then what she do? She uses that belan, right, to make chapati for us. So can't we say there also force is involved, because the ball which our mother has made, what it is doing? It is making a flat. So there we can say the shape has been changed, right? So there also force can change. So students, as like this, you have to collect so many examples from your rounds, and just see that where the effect of force, where it is in the change of shape and size are present. Okay. Now it's your time to fill in this blank. That dash can change the shape and size of an object. Yes, students. What answer you will give for this blank? Yes, if you are saying that it is the force which can change the shape and size of the object, as we are discussing right now also. So answer will be force. That force can change the shape and size of an object. Very good, students. So now let's recall what have we discussed in our today's class. Yes, today we have learned about the various effects of force, that how force can change the state of motion of an object, how force can change the direction of motion of an object, and how force can change the shape and size of an object, right? And we have discussed few examples also. We have seen the proper statements also related to that. Very good, students. So you can say the effects of force is the first one is the state of motion, second is direction of motion, third is shape of the object, and fourth is the size of the object. Very good, students. So now you can think of the many examples also like this, okay, at your homes, and you just write your answers in the comment section, that for the various effect of force, what are the examples you are noticing, right? And students, now it's time for you to give the homework. Now that first is you have to describe about the effects of force along with daily life examples, and give few examples of situations in which applied force causes a change in the direction. And then third is that you have to explain how force can change the state of a moving object, right? Activity is that you have to find out different situations at your home related to the effects of force, and write down your observations as in the table. That first is example is given for you, like a lump of dough or a plate. So how to apply force? By pressing it down with your hands, and small diagram you can do related to it, right? And the action of force, what is happening, that whether it is changing the state of motion or whether it is changing the shape. So basically like this, you have to collect few more examples related to force. You can observe your surroundings. There are many examples which are present related to it, right? And then we can discuss it in our next class, the other examples. So students, thank you so much. That's all for today's class. We'll meet in the next class.